Hello, and welcome to Tom Myers versus the rest of the world. The presidential election occurred this past week, and Donald Trump will be the president of the United States again. At one point, I had my laptop on the couch working on this episode, and when I got back from getting something to eat, my cat was sitting in front of it looking at the returns coming in on election night. I knew there was trouble when I asked him how the Georgia numbers were looking, at which point he proceeded to look at me and lick his crotch. On election day, polling places in several swing states received bomb threats. Authorities investigated and found there was no credible threat to public safety. Maybe they meant the bomb was Tony Hinchcliffe coming to perform at the polls. A majority of voters in Florida elected Trump, re-elected its Republican Senator Rick Scott, and voted to legalize weed, but because the measure didn't reach 60%, it was defeated. How much of an insult is that? That's like realizing you live in a state that helped elect Donald Trump, and you go outside to smoke a joint just to calm down, and before you take your first toke, someone comes up, pisses on your joint, and the splashback hits your face.
Jeez. Oh.
It only gets worse from here, so. Lauren Boebert was reelected to Congress, albeit in her new district in Colorado. Shall we say handily? This is an historic moment. It's the first time someone survived an assassination attempt only to have more people hate him, and follow that up with bringing a racist comedian to perform at a rally at Madison Square Garden, only to have Americans say, meh, maybe he'll pivot. According to the results in exit polls, Trump appeared to make inroads with African Americans and Hispanic voters. It just goes to show that no matter who you are, or what your race or background, even if you're working class, you can still go into a voting booth and do the political equivalent of self-harming. Donald Trump won all 7 of the battleground states, and the only contentious district that went for Kamala Harris was Nebraska's 2nd congressional district. That's not much of a consolation. That's like being at a party with people you despise, someone brings out a cake, takes a dump on it, and then says, here, you can have this small piece, the one the turd hasn't touched. Kamala Harris voters, thinking that she would cruise to a victory on election night, were stunned not only because Donald Trump will likely not go to prison for his guilty verdicts in New York and have his federal criminal cases dropped, thus making him the luckiest man on the planet. Kamala Harris voters are upset because Trump became the luckiest man on the planet and didn't even get Lou Gehrig's disease in order to make that happen. Election night was harrowing and nerve-wracking for everyone, but no more than Jimmy Carter, who realized that he now must hang on for another 4 years. And now on with the show. Please join me in welcoming Jeff Hysen, Gina Brown, Valerie Paschall, and Jess Feeney.
Hey, Tom.
Hello.
Should I even bother to ask how we're doing this week?
Well, it's been
okay,
a
we'll
week.
move on then.
It's been a week, and I'm still upset. I'm still angry. I'm still sad. But I can't walk around that way all the time.
Yeah,
I can.
Because you're a New York comic, Jess. It's in the job description.
Yeah, well, it's weird. I feel like the day after, I feel like I literally lived the same day in 2016. It felt exactly, I did the same thing. I went to work. People were sad. I walked around. It was eerily quiet. It was eerily similar to the day
at
after
least
he got elected.
I will say at least in 2016, it had the weather had the respect to be gray and disgusting.
Yeah.
Here in the district, it was like 80 degrees and warm.
Yeah,
here.
I remember that. Yeah.
It
Well, it was like
kinda-
really nice, and then it got nasty on the day in 2016.
I think I found this one, well, because I contributed and I was like trying to, help with this campaign, it felt a little bit more personal, but it's also we've seen the behavior. We know it came super, super close in 2016, right? So these results are they're like, when I use the word unbelievable, it seems too weak, but they really are. I mean, I guess if this is where we live, if we just live in a land of white supremacy, which, I mean, I already knew that, but it's just a punch in the face that
It is. I was literally about to say that.
Yeah.
It's like I felt like I got hit in the chest by a Cybertruck.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not that hard.
Right.
But it did explode on contact.
Right.
It didn't so much explode, it just slowly crumpled into dust.
And I'm still believing that there's some karma out there. Something is going to happen. I'm keeping a little bit. That's what gets me up in the morning.
This show could be successful. Like, that could be karma.
I'm going to keep hope alive. I am.
We won't go into analysis of how voters reacted, seeing as how at the time of this recording, results are still coming in. We will save that talk for a future episode. But one thing remains certain. Donald Trump is going to claim that the American people gave him a mandate, which is dangerous because the utterance of the term mandate means that the Westboro Baptist Church could come out and protest his inauguration. This country decided to bring back into office a president who not only disregarded the political norms, but also attempted to disable the guardrails of American government, culminating in a major unchecked respiratory pandemic and an attempted coup to overturn the results of the previous election. In short, the United States has effectively become the most powerful abused spouse in the world, willing to acquiesce to verbal threats from the abuser, as we can see in this clip from Donald Trump's final rally before the election.
One of their top people just got on television. I was coming in and they said, these are not looking good, these numbers for them. This is very troubling. At least he was honest. No, all we have to do, if we get out our people, it's over. There's nothing they can do about it. It's nice when you have that, right? You know? In other words, to make you feel a little guilty, we would only have you to blame.
Oh, God.
Ugh.
Tom, okay. Here's the thing. I cannot comment on what I cannot follow, and I never know what the fuck this man is talking about. What did he say? He's gonna blame who now?
He's going to blame his supporters for
That's what I thought.
not voting for him. Yeah. And of course, it's all over. He was the one complaining about this election fraud that supposedly happened. But at the top of his placard, it said, Trump will fix it. So it's like the irony is completely lost on everybody there.
I just realized that. It was lost on me too.
It has a hypnotic effect. You can't help it.
Oh my God, you're right. That's ridiculous. Yeah, he likes the blame game. He likes it a lot. I mean, he's a narcissist. What's he gonna do?
But at this point, at the point he was speaking, his handlers, and I use that word on purpose, his handlers knew they had enough votes because of not just the voter suppression and all the rules that they put into place to discourage people from voting, but they knew that they had gotten out the white males and they were going to go out and vote. They knew that. So it didn't matter what he did. It didn't matter if he was filleting a microphone or dancing or saying more nonsensical stuff. They knew at that point.
To be fair, though, a lot of his voters did turn out as opposed to the previous election because this year, a lot of his voters didn't die from COVID. So he had that going for him.
The ones he didn't kill were grateful and went to the polls. That's true. He did get more votes. It
surprises me the short memory of people. Like COVID wasn't that long ago, guys.
What went on here to me, to an extent, Valerie, is the press did not remind the public on a daily basis of the terrors of his administration. They should have been running daily, this date in the first Trump presidency. They should have been running that every single day. Instead, we got Joe is old and Kamala said this instead of, because the press had to play both sides.
I actually think that his followers and the problem, but not the problem, one of the challenges is that people who watch the media watch it in their silos. So there's not really one place where people can get what they feel is a fact, right? It's very leaning. And so from everybody's perspective, I guess. So even if the media was shouting it, still only this side would hear what they wanted to hear. This side would hear what the other side wanted to hear. And his followers don't care. I mean, he has 34 counts as a felon and he's a rapist and his followers don't care. He hangs out with Nazis. His followers don't care. Wouldn't have mattered, what anybody said. How do you go against that?
While Trump's speech on election night may have been conciliatory for once, it does not mean that his most ardent supporters are quick to take the same path, as this live reaction from former White House advisor Steve Bannon demonstrates.
You stole the 2020 election. You've mocked and ridiculed and put people in prison and broken people's lives because you said this thing was stolen. This entire phony thing is getting swept out. Biden's getting swept out. Kamala Harris is getting swept out. MSNBC is getting swept out. The Justice Department's getting swept out. The FBI is getting swept out. You people suck, okay? And now you're going to pay the price for trying to destroy this country. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to get to the bottom of where are the 600,000 votes. You manufactured them to steal this election for President Trump in 2020. And think where this country would be if we hadn't gone through the last 4 years of your madness, okay? You don't deserve any respect, you don't deserve any empathy, and you don't deserve any pity. And if anybody gives it to you, it's Donald J. Trump, because he's got a big heart and he's a good man. A good man that you're still going to try to put in prison on the 26th of this month. This is how much you people suck, okay? You've just tried to destroy his business thing, and he came back. He came back in the greatest show of political courage, I think, in world history. Like Cincinnatus coming back from the plow. He's the American Cincinnatus. And what he has done is a profiling courage. We've had his back, but I got to tell you, he may be empathetic. He may have a kind heart. He may be a good man, but we're not, okay? And you deserve, as Natalie Winters says, not retribution, justice. But you deserve what we call rough Roman justice, and we're prepared to give it to you. So
I'm listening to that, and I'm just realizing I must not know what words mean.
What I was most excited about is he said Trump had a big heart. Please tell me more.
What I was most excited about is he said Kamala. He didn't come up with Kamala or whatever else they call. And for the life of whenever I have to say his name, he's going to be Don Old or whatever I can say that is not the common name.
Well, I like that Steve Bannon sounds like angry that he's the only inmate who missed out on prison sex. Like maybe he would have been a little more well then.
He sounds like a fucking 16-year-old. He's like, that's why you guys suck, bro. Like, brother, did you not write these statements out beforehand? You couldn't have thought of a better terminology? Also, he looks like shit.
I think he did write them. He does.
Yeah,
I think he did write them out beforehand. It's just that's all he's capable of. I think multiple syllables would be a step too far.
He's pretty much like a combination of every single one of my Twitter replies, like all wrapped up into less than a minute, basically.
I don't know, man. I don't like the guy.
Well, you
Yeah,
suck,
every one of your
Jess.
twit.
You
Yeah,
suck.
you suck.
You suck. Yeah, the only thing that was missing was cry more, and then he
he
would
say-
be every one of your Twitter replies.
Did he say he was going to get rid of the Justice Department?
He did.
Oh yeah,
He said
Okay.
it's swept away or something. I don't know.
Right after he uses it against us, then he's going to get rid of it, of course.
And the
Right.
FBI too. Mhm. He's-
No more justice.
Yeah, it's gonna get rid of all
Trump's
of
America. That's the shit that they don't like education and fucking justice. Let's do
Yes.
away with those.
They hate education.
No, they
Yeah.
hate it. Yeah. They won't have to worry about it. All the red states won't be able to have any. I mean, they'll all come out like idiots because they're getting rid of the Department of Education.
Well, they
Imagine
already
that.
are,
Oh,
pretty
God.
much, to be fair. They already are.
I mean,
There's no-
Imagine that.
We don't even have
Oh
to get
God,
rid
are they gonna bring back Betsy DeVos?
well, we won't have a Department of Ed. They won't need her.
So she's
Yeah.
getting a different cabinet position.
Donald Trump's win will very likely mean a return to the furthering division of American political discourse, as well as the literal divide of families of immigrants. In this clip from an interview just after Trump's first election victory in 2017, we get the perspective of Jared Taylor, the founder of American Renaissance, on why he supported Trump and his candidacy.
But I want to know how it is you
Don't let
voted
it
for
frighten
Donald
you.
Trump when you're so into facts, because his entire campaign is not based in facts. It was all based in propaganda and emotion.
I voted for Donald Trump for one reason only. His policies, if implemented, would slow the dispossession of whites in the United States. If he were to deport all illegal immigrants, if he were to think very hard about letting in any Muslims, all of this would slow the rate at which whites are becoming a minority. I wish.
Why are you so worried about the white dispossession of America?
Because I want my people to survive. Is that so strange? We don't control China. We don't control any place where whites are not a majority. And if we become a minority, we will not control our own destiny anymore.
I grew up in this country as a minority, as the children of immigrants. I was their first child born in America. And while I didn't have much possession or didn't much control, I really enjoyed myself. And I think that if you ask a lot of Americans, they would say that I had a lot to offer this country. You know, according to you, I guess I would be perpetuating the dispossession of white America.
That is true. That is
So,
true.
would you say that you wouldn't want me in this country?
At some point, when my ancestors built this nation, they did not build it with the intention of giving it away to Mexicans or Chinese or Haitians or to anyone else.
Do you consider,
built
you
it.
keep saying your ancestors built this country, you consider that a fact?
Who else built it?
Black people, Native Americans, Chinese people who came and built the railroads,
Do you think none of that could have been
Italian
achieved?
people.
But they're Europeans, aren't they?
I want to shout out that cook who was right next to that table, who probably was standing there thinking to himself, I could either cut a huge fart right now, or I could just spit in this guy's food, and he would not suspect a thing.
That what he said sums it up, though, because
Yeah.
and most people don't. That's the way Republicans want Americans, a lot of the white Americans, to think. They want them to think that way. And unless I'm mistaken, that viewpoint has permeated into certain quote unquote minority groups saying, we're not like them. We're here. We don't want them. So that us against them thinking has taken over and contributed to the disastrous results from last week.
Yeah. I also feel like he's complaining about something that he can't really name. Like he's saying like, oh, white people won't be in charge of their own destiny. But what he means is that white people won't be in charge of everyone's destiny. And he's not giving any details as to why that would harm or affect him. This guy seems like he's well off. He's just saying, no, I want my people to have power. And that doesn't just mean I want my people, which is a bullshit concept to begin with, to have power over our own destiny. He's saying, I want my people to control everyone's destiny. And he
while
didn't really
eating Chinese food.
Right, yeah, and he didn't have a good answer for the point that like white people did not build this country. They forced other people to build this country.
After they stole it from people
after
who
they
were
stole
already
it.
here. Yeah.
But he didn't have a good answer for that.
Well, Wang cut him off because I think he was on his way to saying, would those people that you mentioned, those groups, have been able to do it were we not the overseers of,
right?
You know what I mean? But
it's the whole white people ended the Civil War kind of thing, like.
And I guess he's unfamiliar with the other countries that have white people in them, like
or don't
Canada,
or don't have white people.
All of Europe
have managed to do just fine.
Right. But he's so concerned that he's not taking into account that he's just like, if I don't do it because America's getting browner, what's going to happen? Russia's not going to be white, and Norway, Sweden, Finland, all of Northern Europe,
It can easily be argued that the momentum that led to Donald Trump's election victory started with the 34 guilty verdicts in his New York hush money case, as is demonstrated in this raw cell phone footage of a Trump supporter's real-time reaction to the verdicts.
This guy... Let me go punch him out. Hey, buddy. We can't last again. No, after 15, you fucking old fucking alabaster. Oh, yeah! Oh, we got some more. Oh my God! Thank God they got us! Are you at 19 counts? Oh, how many counts? Is this daughter?
I'm not posting it now. I'm sending it straight to you.
Are you fucking nuts? Well, excuse me. You know that we're all right. Guilty of what? He's guilty. Okay, give them all fucking. Every fucking guilty count is getting him another fucking vote.
Yo, and not for nothing.
I mean it. Oh my God. It's a weaponized Department of Justice. Are you watching this?
Yeah, I'm like, yo, seriously.
Easy. Are you nuts? Easy. Burp. I can burp you. Easy.
That guy seems a little don't want to leave him alone around my drinky kind of guy.
I wish during this whole campaign season and every time the whole weaponized whatever came up, that Kamala and or so many people would just stop the madness and say, no, he's a criminal. These are crimes. It has literally nothing to do with politics. But everybody just sort of accepted that this whole weaponization, they just accepted it. And nobody slapped whoever was saying it because it's all bullshit.
It is because Merrick Garland was impotent. He sat there trying to show he was above it all instead of saying, I got screwed by the Republicans and now I'm going to screw them back. No, he wanted to show, because we're good Democrats, we have to be fair. He wanted to show he was above it all. And because of that, it was the opposite of weaponized.
Yeah, I agree. I love Michelle Obama, but honestly, we need to go lower.
What does a second Donald Trump term mean for the future of the climate on this planet? One can only speculate, and none of the scenarios seem good. In this clip, we see one gamer experiment with weather patterns on a hurricane simulation.
All right, we're checking out the only game where you can eventually turn into a natural disaster the size of the entire planet with light speed winds killing everyone. It's Hurricane Outbreak. Hurricane Outbreak is a game where you get to control a sad little tropical depression and allow it to grow into a giant murderous storm. Now, typically, the storm is very small, and it does grow to pretty decent proportions, including eventually getting up to a Category 10, which isn't actually supposed to even exist except in theory. However, once again, we have hacked the game. And so today, we will go across the entirety of the globe with a hurricane that by the end will be bigger than the entire planet. All right, I think I've threaded the needle enough at this point. Time to head back over to the United States. We might as well put the numbers up a little bit too. So this time, let's go max wind speed 200, wind speed 100, with a strength of 8 and 6. Woo! Oh my God! 336 miles an hour, category 6. Oh, there goes Turks and Caicos. Yep, they're 40 damage, 6 damage. Again, no deaths yet. We're waiting here. We gotta get a little bit closer. We're probably like 100 miles away and we're doing this much damage. To be fair, though, we're moving pretty much as fast as a freaking tornado at this point. See, red means you're dead. Well, the Bahamas just got smashed. Yep, see, the Bahamas just get it every time. Now, I think that the game can't even recognize going over 1,000 miles an hour, but I'm pretty sure that with the hacks, we can make this work. You know how things typically are here. If at first you don't succeed, shove it until it fits. All right, so max wind speed. I'm gonna go with 1,500 at this point. I really wanna break like eventually Mach 2 with a wind speed. All right, so it'll read 1,030 miles an hour. Okay, but then it kind of takes it away. So I'm just gonna go all the way. Just, you know what, why not? All the numbers. Just this, we're not gonna be able to see it. And this one has to be a little bit lower. Okay, go. I like that at this point, people have literally stopped dying. Like, it got so powerful that they don't even have the opportunity to exist as human beings anymore. So I just found out I have officially murdered every single person that exists in this game. Even if I reset, everyone is finally dead. There's no one left.
I, for one, love a story with a happy ending.
That was only a category 7 by the end.
So
Wow, just tell me you're not getting laid.
without telling me.
The joy that he expressed about killing people. Wow.
Well, it was a nice insight into our future.
And on that note, that's our show. I want to thank Jeff Hysen, Gina Brown, Valerie Paschall, and Jess Feeney.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
But before we go, I like to leave you with these thoughts. James Earl Jones and Terry Garr were two of the greatest actors this country had to offer. They were admired and revered not only for their craft and their talent, but also for their ability to have their thumb on the pulse of American culture, which is why they both died shortly before this election. This week, a Baltimore jury held two drug companies liable for damages in the city's opioid crisis and awarded a $274 million judgment. I joined with my fellow Maryland residents when I heard that verdict and thought, so that's how we're going to afford enough drugs to make it these next 4 years. The ultimate insult is the lack of hope that will arise from the end of the year and the end of the Biden presidency. Just when we think all chance of being saved from an authoritarian regime is gone, we get one final email from a progressive group, thinking it's an opportunity to save the country from the complete grip of an extreme conservative hold on our institutions, only to be welcomed with this message. We'd like to invite you to a pizza party. To make it worse, they say, our fundraising numbers are down, so you'll have to bring the pizza. Good night. This episode was written and hosted by Tom Myers with panelists Jeff Hysen, Gina Brown, Valerie Paschall, and Jess Feeney. Theme music composed and arranged by Jeroen van den Hurck. Executive producers Tom Myers, Matt Connarton for ipmNation, and Eddie Carson for Odyssey Radio. Please leave a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Tom Myers, for access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, and bonus clips. Thank you for listening, and please visit tommyers.us.